All right. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for being here on time, and hopefully today we will find the information that we will be sharing in this webinar useful for you as a customer, partner, or prospect customer. My name is Nozomi Networks. I'm a senior regional cybersecurity engineer for the Middle East region, and I'm here to walk you through some of the most hot topic probably in the past year and a half in Saudi Arabia, which is the OTCC regulation with regards to the industry control systems in our region. I will set some information here. Probably some of you you are aware of the regulations in deep dives. So I'm just gonna set the record straight for the rest. The few slides just to go over what is the regulation is, and eventually we'll speak about how Nozomi can help with the regulation, what we have done in the past months with our customers, how we can leverage some of the capabilities of the solution so that you achieve what we're trying to provide here is the road to compliance. We will take some questions probably at the end of this presentation. I don't expect the presentations to be too long, to be honest, but eventually I will have as well some time for us to show you a quick demo of some of the capabilities that we will be speaking about. So without further ado, let's get on to it. In a nutshell, when we're talking about the regulations in Saudi Arabia, when it comes to the ICS, I think the first draft that came back in 2018 with relation to the ECC, or the essential cybersecurity controls, back in 2018, there was just one page in domain 5 that spoke about the ICS cybersecurity controls that are required for the customers in the kingdom. Then years later, there has been specific drafts for the operation technology cybersecurity controls, the OTCC, and the latest draft was back in 2022. And when we're talking about this specific regulation, it is very comprehensive, one of the best actually in the GCC. I have been looking into the other countries and how they define basically the cybersecurity control for OT and ICS. And I can tell you that the kingdom is advanced when it comes to basically what we require of our end users to actually achieve compliance. It ended up with basically having 4 main domains. Those 4 main domains related to governance, defense, resilience, and third-party cybersecurity. And inside of those 4 main domains, there are multiple subdomains. As you can see here, 8 subdomains for governance and 13 subdomains for defense. I took this statement of applicability, which is very interesting because eventually we know that OT networks typically does not work similar to IT networks. And you have to be very careful about imposing specific controls or cybersecurity tools in an OT environments so that you don't actually stop the operation of the organization. This is why you see here part of that part of the regulation. It says, when you are basically applying the specific control, just make sure it will not jeopardize the continuity of the organization operation. And this is very, very critical piece because as I said, probably with IT, it's all about making sure that you block the threats. With OT, it's more about making sure that the operation continue. And this is why some of those subdomains that we will be looking at might be very challenging for our customers and prospect customers to actually go and implement in their organization. Now, part of the regulation, there is multiple levels, or there are actually 3 different levels. Those levels depends on basically the organization classification. And this can be done by the customer himself, or basically, an auditor comes and find out what is the specific level for that organization. And the different levels, basically, it talks about the severe adverse effects that will make based on the impact of this organization inside of the kingdom. So if there is a high impact that will cause this organization to stop operation, and it will cause the kingdom to be affected, the higher, the more controls that you need to be compliant to. So level 3, you need to do, you have to be compliant to 56 controls. Level 3, sorry, you will have 56 controls. Level 2, you'll have 117, and level 1, we're talking about 151 controls that you the customer needs to comply to. And when I say controls, we're talking about basically, and we're talking about levels, sorry, we're talking about, organizations that might be oil and gas, probably they will be a level 1. Organizations that are, mission criticals like utilities, you cannot have a substation going down or a water facility going down, so probably they will be considered level 1. Whereas maybe certain manufacturing might be considered as a level 3. And depending on the organizations, depending on the level that you will have different cybersecurity controls that you have to be compliant to. Now, if we deep dive into some of those, the 4 domains. The 4 domains are very comprehensive, as I said in a couple of slides before. And when we look into the governance, we look into basically the functionalities, we look into the policies and procedures, we look into the functions, we look into the GRC capabilities, we look into the risk management aspects, we look into the change management. So there is so much that needs to be done here when it comes to the governance. And this is one aspect of the regulation that speaks about, having something inside the organization to build on top of. These are, the paperwork, making sure that people are skilled, making sure that you have the policies and procedures to actually have a cybersecurity framework inside the organization. When we go to the second domain, which is by far is the technology domain. When I say technology domain, means you need a cybersecurity tool, you need a technology to be compliant to this specific domain, domain 2. And in domain 2, there is actually 13 different domains. Each one of those domains has multiple controls and subcontrols. And this is probably by far the challengest domain in the regulation, because if a customer actually want to be compliant to all of these 13 subdomains and 108 controls and subcontrols, probably you will end up with 5-10 different tools to have the compliance to all of these things. This is why when I say in the statement of applicability, there are certain things that might be, you might phase out basically the approach of being compliant. You might start with something that can help you achieve certain aspects, then you build on top of that in a phased manner. You cannot do everything at once, but probably you will need to phase it out so that you will be compliant with the regulation. Then there is the resilience part, the business continuity part, and there is this latest event that we have seen in the IT with regards to CrowdStrike, basically impacting a huge number of customers, with their businesses. So making sure that you have a business continuity plan to make sure that everything in the operation does not stop. That's resilience. With third-party domain, we're talking about more regarding the procurement piece, making sure that the contractors have specific cybersecurity controls when they are touching your operational networks and so on. Our main focus today with Nozomi, out of those 4 domains, is domain 2. This is where, because we are a technology vendor, we focus heavily on the technology part. And this is where Nozomi actually can help our customers when we're talking about the regulation. I have highlighted in blue where Nozomi actually plays a very good critical part in helping our customers and prospect customers to achieve the compliance. It doesn't mean that we don't help on the other ones that are in black color. Actually, we can help in certain aspects when we look, for example, in mobile device security, because our solution is capable of providing asset inventory. We will be able to provide the customers of we will provide them the devices, the mobile devices that are connected to the network. So certain aspects of some of those subdomains, we will be able to provide informations that might help in building basically the cybersecurity subdomain inside of that specific domain. It's the same thing with physical security. While Nozomi does not provide physical security, we are monitoring anything that is connected to the network. So if you have a part of the physical security, CCTV, access control, HVAC systems, anything that is considered in the organization as a physical security, probably not HVAC systems, access control and CCTV, we will be able to monitor these systems. And from there, we will be able to provide evidence about the physical security devices that might be connected to the network. So there are certain places where we don't directly provide compliance to those domains, but we provide evidence about some of these subdomains. Now, let's zoom in a little bit more in domain 2 and provide some controls, sub-controls, and how Nozomi can help in this specific regards. I've took 3 examples for three subdomains: asset management, vulnerability management, and monitoring. We will go into those 3 slides in a bit. If we look into, for example, this specific subdomain, the asset management, these are the controls and subcontrols that are required for level 1, level 2, and level 3 organizations. So this specific control or subcontrol 2-1-1-1 is required by level 1, level 2, and level 3 organizations. And what it says basically, I want this organization to provide an asset inventory in an electronic format, and this should be reviewed periodically. So all the organizations should be compliant to the specific piece. And this is one of the main essence of what Nozomi provides today, providing an asset inventory for an OT environments, for ICS environments, where many of those environments are typically running proprietary protocols, utilizing OT type vendors that utilize specific protocols that are not typically seen in IT environments. This is where Nozomi really shines when it comes to this aspect. And what you see here as in this screenshot, we're showing basically this way of showing the asset inventory in an electronic format. And this is basically one of the main features of what the solution provides. Now, it says automated solution to collect asset inventory information must be utilized. That is required by level 1 organizations. It goes in no without saying. Basically, our solution does this in the best manner, which means the moment that you plug our sensors into the network, nothing else is required, and we do continuous monitoring of the devices that are connected into your network. So There is not manual works that needs to be done. This is something that can be done in an automated manner the moment that we connect our sensors into the network. And the OTICS asset inventory must be stored securely, and that's what we provide part of our solution. Our solution typically comes full stack from Nozomi, which means that you're taking our hardware, software, operating system, application, all from Nozomi. This is one of the options that we have, which means that we harden our platform, make sure that everything is secured, all the information that are collected are staying inside the secure box. Now, some customers probably might have a virtualized environment. We haven't seen many OT organizations that utilize virtualization yet, but yes, we do have a virtualized option where you take basically our application and run it on top of virtualized environment. So very quickly, you've seen, we're talking about asset management, 3 different controls and subcontrols. We were able to help achieve the compliance with regards to the OTCC. Let's take another example. In the vulnerability management in subdomain 2-9, this control or subcontrol 2-911, you see that all organizations should have the capability of doing vulnerability assessment while ensuring limited or no impact on the production environment. This is a very critical piece, ensuring limited or no impacts on the production environments. We are proudly take our solutions to have no impact on customer environments, because we are typically utilizing what we call passive monitoring, which means that we are not introducing traffic into the network. We are basically taking traffic out of path, analyze that traffic, and eventually provide you the capability to understand what are the vulnerabilities that are associated with those devices that are in the network. So we don't have any impact on the production environment, and this is one of the best approaches when we're talking about OT environments compared to an active approach. Active approach means that I'm going to go and scan the network, find out what are the vulnerabilities that are associated with the devices. We go in with a passive approach, which helps our customers to have no limited or no impacts on their environments. And this is an example of basically control systems, switches, or HMIs in the environments that we discovered in the environment, and we provide basically a specific what are the vulnerabilities that are associated with it, risk score for the specific assets, and what needs to be done at the level of vulnerability related to those devices. Let's take a third example, and this goes into a different subdomain here, which is the cybersecurity event logs and monitoring management. And you can see here, I took those controls or subcontrols that talks about logging and monitoring of new alerts when a new or unauthorized devices are connected to the network must be performed. And this is another aspect of the solution that we have, which is because we are monitoring the OT networks in a passive manner, as I said in the previous 2 slides, and providing asset inventory of the devices. We have the capability after that to probably to find if there was any intruders that are trying to connect to the network. And whenever that happens, basically we log and provide those alerts. As you can see here, we have different alerts that can be triggered. We have the different IT, OT, and IoT different alerts basically that can be triggered. And those alerts can be sent into a SIM. So we can provide these alerts into a different platform, or we can have it in our platform so that you can investigate it further. Utilizing threat intelligence must be incorporated to regularly tune and refresh alerts. And this is one of the things that is very strong with Nozomi, which is our threat intelligence. Because we are a focused OT vendor, we have been working closely with lots of OEMs, and our research team have been looking into basically doing reverse engineering on multiple devices that allow us to have our own threat intelligence that is typically unique in the market. And this is one of the capabilities that allow us to look into threats that are not typically looked at when it comes to other vendors. So we focus on our threat intelligence that feeds into our solutions that allow us basically to find threats in the customer environments. So absolutely, this is one of the capabilities of the solution to provide basically threat protection part of a threat intelligence that is OT or ICS specific. And finally, when we're looking into monitoring all the access points, access control points, and find any connections that are happening between them. This is one of the main aspects of the solution. So yeah, while we do asset inventory, we are doing vulnerability assessment, and we're doing intrusion detection system. We are doing network specific tasks as well, which means anything that is communicating over the network, we will be able to provide you a communication matrix of all the devices that are speaking in the network. Those are the three examples that I wanted to share with you. Those are just a subset of the controls and subcontrols that we do. We have much more controls and subcontrols that we cover. And this is where it's worth to mention that we have brought in a mapping guide that is accessible for our customers, our partners. It's a public facing mapping guide that focus in domain 2. So as I said, because we're a technology partner, this is where we focus heavily. It focuses on air-gapped network. Typically, the environments that we are talking about so far, 50-50, we see lots of air-gapped networks so far that we are dealing with in the kingdom. There are certain environments that are connected to the internet nowadays for ease of automation and so on, but still we see air-gapped networks. So we consider in our mapping guide that these are air-gapped networks, which means that I don't need to connect to the internet to provide, for example, update signatures or updated asset information or upgrades and so on. Everything can be controlled in a closed manner. Then we basically map the capabilities of each control to what Nozomi can provide. And this is, it's worth mentioning that many of the things that we are showing in the mapping guide focuses in one of our main components of the solution, which is the network sensor, which we call the Nozomi Guardian, and the endpoint sensor, which is called Nozomi Arc. We haven't considered two new capabilities that we have released recently: the Guardian Air, which is the wireless spectrum sensor, or the Arc Embedded. The Arc Embedded is basically a Nozomi agent that can sit on Mitsubishi Electric Melco series, so that we can provide more information on a specific control system. So this only consider a couple of products or a couple of sensors of Nozomi. Maybe at a later webinars we can speak about the newer capabilities of Nozomi and how we can actually help with the newer capabilities of our portfolio. But in this specific mapping guide, we consider that almost 90% we are utilizing our network sensor or our core components of the solution that has been in the market for the past 10 years, which is the Nozomi Guardian. Lastly, I want to speak about this specific aspect because I think for many of us, when we're thinking about how Nozomi can help with the compliance, everything we have said, maybe it's great that Nozomi is helping in some of those controls and subcontrols, but how do we go about it? How can we help as Nozomi actually to provide evidence to organizations about if they are compliant or not? This is why we have something called Nozomi Networks content packs. And content packs basically are the capabilities of running a specific file into your environments through our Nozomi Network Sensor Guardian, where you will be able to extract information from the network through reports and queries. What do I mean by that? For our existing customers, this is basically a JSON file that can be imported into your Guardian, and from there you can get full report about all of the controls and subcontrols in domain 2 that we are compliant to, and this will provide you evidence right away about what you have been compliant to, what haven't, what are the evidence that are related to it. For our partners, this means that you can take any network sensor from Nozomi or a Nozomi Guardian and go to a customer environment or a prospect customer and do an assessment and provide them evidence, provide them basically a report that tells them, okay, these are the things that you have, we have found in your environments. Those are the controls and subcontrols that you are compliant to. These are the places where you need to maybe enhance your capabilities. So it will help our partners to do some security assessments on customers and prospects. For our prospect customers, this just gives you the capability to quickly understand where do you stand today. Are you fully compliant? Where are the gaps? What are the things that you need to be looking at? How we go about basically the regulation. And the report is just one aspect. The queries is a different aspect that we'll be speaking about probably after, in a bit. Just to mention, we don't stop that. So we actually, Nozomi Networks actually created a specific content pack for our regulation here in the kingdom. We do have other content packs that are for industry standards. So if an organization is looking to be compliant with IEC 6443 for those specific controls or those specific domains, 2-1 and 3-3, we do have a content pack that's specific for the industry standards. We have NORCSIP Pro that is for North America, but for these some of the capabilities here that might be utilized for our utility customers as well. So there is a whole web page of content packs that you can go and download. As I said, it's a JSON file, which means that you can go and audit this JSON file, take whatever you want out of it and remove whatever you want out of it, so that you get the benefit out of this capability that is provided for free of charge, basically by Nozomi. And it will allow you to find out very quickly what you have in terms of compliance with regards to the regulation. This is what I have for you guys. I hope this was informative. I will take a few questions before I jump into a quick demo for this specific content pack. Maria or Gemma, are there any questions that
Sure. Yeah, we have some questions, Osama. Do we have a documented classification criteria of levels from NCA?
So if you quickly do a quick search, in the NCA, so KSA, NCA OTCC controls, probably very quickly that you see here, these are, they are, this is the OTCC, I believe. So very quickly you can find basically all the domains, the controls, the subcontrols, everything is, is documented for our customers to go and follow. It's the same thing. I opened this actually earlier. This is specifically speaking about the ECC. So this is the Essential Cybersecurity Controls that was released back in 2018. And as you can see here from there is Domain 5, Industrial Control System Cybersecurity. This is where it was on one page back in 2018. compared to when we were talking about the OTCC 2022, a full document that's focused only on in the OTCC. So if you go into this document, you will see whatever I was mentioning in our slide deck. You will see that the different domains, the subdomains, more information about the controls and subcontrols are all defined in more details in this document. I hope this answered your question.
Thank you, Osama. Another question we have is, are there any business use case for telco towers?
Business use case for telco towers. So when we're talking about, I'll try to to figure out what do you mean by telco towers. Probably we're talking about GSM radio networks. If this is what you're asking for, typically there is the capability of monitoring basically rogue devices that might act as a radio device, and this is one of the capabilities that we have released recently with our Guardian Air. For a very long time, we have been monitoring the information or the devices that are speaking on the network. But with the recent introduction of Guardian Air, we are capable today to monitor the wireless or the wireless spectrum, which includes Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LoRaWAN, GSM, drones, anything that's basically utilizing wireless, we'll be able to monitor.
Thank you. That's it in terms of questions for now.
So let me jump into a quick demo about this specific content pack that I was speaking about, the one that we have for regulation. First of all, let me show you very quick. As I said, it's a JSON file, and it has multiple queries. As you can see here, there are multiple queries. If I just open one query, when I say query, it means basically something that can go and ask our network sensor to provide results. So I'm just gonna import this JSON file into our network sensor, and that JSON file will be executed automatically and will provide you basically a document that shows you what we have as an evidence. So for example, in this specific subcontrol, we're looking into this specific subcontrol 2-1-1-2, and I'm looking into the asset table where the vendor name, where the vendor product name or the firmware in the zones with the specific IP address and MAC address to be provided in a table format. So this whole thing, you can find actually all the queries that we have here, and this JSON file, as I said, for our partners, you can basically take those specific queries and manipulate them the way that you want, or you can take it as is so that you can get the specific reports that I'm going to show you in a bit. But this is very customizable. You can manipulate it whatever you want in the way that you feel appropriate for your organization. Sometimes you might want to focus on a specific subdomain, so you will take everything out and just focus on a specific subdomain. So this is very customizable, and you can import it again into the tool. So if I go into the tool, this is the interface of our main core components, the Nozomi Guardian. If I log into the device, for our partners and existing customers, it's as simple as going to administration and going into import and going into basically import content pack. As I said, I think after this call, we will share the links to the content pack, the public facing content pack, so you can download those content pack, including the OTCC content pack. The moment that you import the content pack through this process, as I said, for our partners and customers, you will have two places in the tool where you can go and discover this in a more details. The first place is in the queries. So in the queries, you will go into saved queries, and you will go and select basically the specific content pack that is executing the queries inside of the environment. So all of these queries have been executed, and you can select a specific query. For example, if I selected the specific one, see it in editor. So I know for sure the same way that I was seeing it here in the in this JSON file. Now I can see it inside of the Guardian, and I can manipulate it if I wanted to get different results. So I can click here and basically get specific result for a specific query, or even best if I go into the second place. So queries is one place, or if I go into reports and go to management, you see here, when you import that JSON file, right away you get all of these reports. So for organizations that are level 1 or level 2 or level 3, all of these reports will be available in the content pack. And you see here from the reports, this is very customizable. All of these widgets, you can customize it the way that you want. And you can have your own logo for the customers. Part of the settings, as you can see here, I can change the logo. I can send it over email. I can schedule it. So if I wanted this to be, if I wanted to generate a report and schedule it maybe in a monthly basis, I want to see how I progress over the months. I can do a scheduled generated report. Or I can do it on demand. I just click on demand, and I generate one. I generated one just before this call, and the report will look something similar to this. The customer logo. It will go through basically the different controls and subcontrols that we are covering in domain 2. And it will give you the evidence of each one of those controls and subcontrols in domain 2. It will go through the asset management, through all of these through all of the controls and subcontrols in domain 2, so that will provide you the evidence that can help you with your auditors to see how are you compliant with the regulation. And in this case, in my environment, I have 138 pages of evidence about the information that has been extracted from the network. This is a very quick way for you to when it comes to the road of compliance. Nozomi, while it does not provide you the full aspects or the full coverage of all the security controls in domain 2, we provide capabilities by monitoring the network and provide you evidence that can help you enhance your cybersecurity controls in the environment. This is in regards to the controls and subcontrols. Maybe I wanted to share one last aspect of the queries. I think lots of our customers feel sometimes burdened by trying to figure out what are the queries that they need to focus on. Now, with the content pack, everything is being built for you. So you don't need to do anything except for executing, importing that JSON file into the system, and everything will be executed automatically. Having said that, I want to get your attention into this specific web page as well. It will be shared after the call. There is a white paper that has been created by our team that is focused on 20 Nozomi queries that can be utilized on a daily basis, and it will help you get results very quick for specific use cases. You see here these 20 queries. They are very, very, very interesting because I always come across them when I'm doing proof of concept or proof values for our customers. Some of these questions are very common and many of our customers are asking for them. What are my top 10 alerts? Do I have specific protocols that shouldn't be utilized, like VNC, RDP, Telnet, non-secure protocols? What are the CVEs that are unresolved for the specific assets? what alerts happen in this day, and so on. And if I click on any one of those, it goes into providing you why would you use this query, when should you use it, what do you expect by running this query, and where can you execute it? Can you execute it in a specific product of Nozomi? So in this case, it can be executed in Guardian or CMC. And to provide you basically the exact query format that you can basically copy paste and put it in the Guardian and execute it so that you get the results that are provided here. So very, I love this this document. Again, this is a public facing 20 queries that can help you get results if the information is not already provided by the tool. So there are so much information that are provided by the tool, but this even pinpoint specific task or pinpoint specific information that might be required by your organization. So this is what I have for you guys. I will stop sharing right now, and if there is any specific questions, I will just look into the chat and I will see if there are any non-answered questions. So there is a question about how can we get more details on Guardian Air. We will share a link probably after this call. More information about Guardian Air. It's, as I said, this is a newly announced sensor from Nozomi. I think this is the second or third month now, and we will have actually another probably session that speaks specifically about Guardian Air, so stay tuned. But we will share some materials about Guardian Air after this call. Can we create our specific content packs? Absolutely, absolutely. So because, as I said, it's a JSON file, it means that anything that you think is applicable to you can be generated. And the content packs actually does not stop on compliance. Content pack, we started with compliance as one of the capabilities of the content pack. But if you think about it, with content pack, we started to create as well content pack that are specific for a specific malware, for example, in destroyer or in controller, which means that there are questions that are being asked by our customers. Am I impacted by a specific malware? So we created a specific content pack that looks into evidence. If this specific malware that utilizes specific protocol, it gives you evidence right away by executing that content pack to understand if there is any evidence of specific IOCs that are related to specific malware, if they exist into your environment or not. So there are other use cases that this can be utilized. Compliance is just one piece, but it can be utilized for providing evidence if there is any specific malware in the environment related to new variants of malware. We have actually part of the content pack, the links that we will share. I think we have one for Log4j, another one for Destroyer 2. So we have those already made by our research team that can be utilized doing assessment as well. Then there are other applications that this can be utilized on. It's just a JSON file, so the creativity there for you, it can be done. It can be used for anything basically. I think we answered all the questions. If you guys don't have any other questions, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for being with us in this webinar, and looking forward for the next webinars that we will focus probably on other topics related to Nozomi Networks. I appreciate your time.